You know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really getting concerned, as you can't tell already, about the state of our country today. And we need to be, we really do, because we're no longer the United States of America. You guys know that, right? We are not any longer the United States of America. We're now the you gotta be fucking kidding me States of America. With this batshit crazy new Trump reality show. Have you guys heard the news? He's got a new Trump reality show coming out in the fall on the Fox network. Yeah, it's called Ku Klux Klan Has Talent. Ku Klux Klan Has Talent. You know, we used to have must-see TV. How many of you guys remember must-see TV? You remember that? Seinfeld and all that. Now it's been replaced by must have a fucking trailer in KY Jelly TV. You know, with this Republican Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Steve Bannon, Duck Dynasty, Swamp Pawn Stars. What else? Alabama antique ass picking. Sarah Palin hybrid of a fucking 5150 fest. Because in reality, that's how the rest of the world sees the United States now. We're not the 50 states of America anymore. To the rest of the world, we're the 5150 states of America. So, you guys remember John Cougar Mellancamp? Anybody like John Cougar? I like his music. He has a song that came out back in the 70s, kind of sums it up. I'll give you my version of it for you, okay? Well, there's an orange man with an orange face living in an orange con man's world. He's got Russian spy friends and a Russian wife that doesn't want to sleep with him. He loves to talk about how his hot daughter Ivanka always giving him wood. An erection. Well, there's a woman hiding in the White House kitchen. Her name is Creepy Kelly, and she's got creepy tweaker eyes and creepy tweaker stringy hair. And Donald looks at her and says, "Hey, darling, you better not be eating my leftover Kansas City chicken." Oh, yeah! Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Keep guarding your pussy, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the freaking shitstorm of dumbass Walmart voters. We gotta take back the White House for you and me. Well, there's a fat white man with a XXL Trump t-shirt, listening to a Rush Limbaugh station. He's got greasy hair and a fucking greasy smile. And he says, "Lord, this must be better than even porn and my masturbation." Help me out, you guys. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? It ain't just Mississippi, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the freaking orange McDonald's dumpster fire. We're calling the White House now. Gotta take back that White House for you and me. 2018, 2020. I think you guys are gonna like the bridge. Okay, the bridge is coming up. It's got a cool bridge on this song. Well, we all know Trump's just a Russian hoe. Help me out, you know the words? We all know he's just a Russian hoe. One more time, I want to hear everybody singing that, because you know it's true. We all know Trump's just a Russian hoe. Yeah! One more time. We all know he's just a Russian hoe. Yeah! Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning into the program. I'm Connie Bryan, and you're watching The Connie Bryan Show. Well, this is the part of the program that I always like to welcome all of our viewers in each of our respective broadcast areas in our network. So first of all, of course, we want to welcome our Sacramento and our Davis viewers. We're always so excited to have you with us. Also, we want to welcome our Santa Barbara viewers, where I began this show way back in 2003, so hopefully some of you all out there remember me. And also want to welcome our Pasadena viewers down in Southern California. So excited to have you with us. And outside the state of California, we've added about 3 other markets. I'm excited to remind everybody that we're broadcasting to Washington, D.C., so welcome all of our Washington, D.C. viewers. Also, we want to welcome our Denver, Colorado viewers at Denver Open Media, so welcome to all of you. And most recently, our newest acquisition in our network is Portland, Oregon, so I want to welcome all of our Portland viewers. Now, this is the part of the program that I like to catch all of you up on some of the articles in the newspaper that I've been keeping up with. We call it Fun with the Newspaper, so let's get started because we've got a lot to cover on the show today. Take a look at this first story here by David Nakamura from the Washington Post, entitled "Trump Vows to Revive Merry Christmas in the U.S." Darn it, Donald! Darn it, you're just a little too late, you see, because Special Prosecutor and Special Santa, he's doubling up with both duties, Bob Mueller has already beat you to that. Sorry to say, bringing serious criminal charges against not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of your former top advisors, and he wrapped it up with a beautiful bow, with the 4th one being your national security advisor that you fired, Mike Flynn, who's now turned state's evidence against you. So Mueller beat you to the punch of reviving Merry Christmas for Americans this year. Now, let's see, what's the next holiday? What's the next holiday that maybe you could revive for us? I'm trying to think, because it wouldn't be New Year's, of course. Mueller's he's going to be making it a Happy New Year for us too. We can already tell that. So what else? Valentine's Day. No, Mueller's going to be everybody's Valentine. He really is. He's going to be continuing to tighten the noose around your neck, and everybody's just going to be sending him Valentine's cards. I got it! April Fools! You being the gigantic one that you are, Trump. How about you revive? That's it. Let's all agree. It's agreed. It's done. April Fools. You're going to be reviving April Fools for us. That's perfect for you, Donald. All right, take a look at this next story here by Mark Glover of the Sacramento Bee, and it's entitled "Smud's Bright Gift Ideas Are All Energy Efficient." It says, while Amazon and other retailers were pushing fashionable clothes, virtual reality headsets, and the latest toys, SMUD, which is the acronym for Sacramento Municipal Utility District, offered deep discounts on energy-efficient light bulbs, thermostats, and LED lighting. Okay, listen, if you were even thinking about getting your family or friends any item from a utility company's online gift store, it's time for a Connie Bryan Show intervention, all right? And I just have 3. It'll be a short one because I just have 3 things to say to you. Number 1, you really need to get laid. That's 1. Number 2, when you run out of friends and family, and you're wondering why you ran out of friends and family, you were buying them gifts from an online utility company's gift store. That's why. And last but not least, number 3, seriously, you really, really, really need to get laid, okay? All right, take a look at this story here. Controversial story by Anita Chabria and Ryan Lillis of our local Sacramento Bee, entitled "City Close to Signing Contract on Confronting Gun Violence." Now listen to this, because this is wild. City leaders are about to sign a contract to make the capital of California a new testing ground for a controversial anti-gun violence program that targets primarily black men. I'm not making this up, folks. I'm reading you the article right here. Let's see, what could possibly be misinterpreted or go wrong with this plan, with this idea, huh? The program, known as Advance Peace, originally pioneered in Richmond, targets young black men who have been identified by law enforcement as most likely to commit gun violence. Those young black males are then partnered with mentors who have similar violent felony backgrounds, and it's for an 18-month intervention fellowship. And it's meant to teach them alternatives to criminal lifestyles. For example, just to give you a few things of what they do with them, you know, they take them into NWA studios to learn how to write alternative rap songs, such as "Darn the Police" and "Straight Outta Wisconsin," and they help them learn how to write lyrics about their bitches and hoes that don't involve them ending up popping a cap, you know, into said bitches and hoes. It's a creative program that actually has the former felons going on drive-bys with them, but instead teaching them to replace their Glock 9s with water balloons filled with blue dye that permanently stains their enemies' expensive Nike apparel. And last but not least, the program teaches them how to deal drugs by getting a medicinal marijuana clinic license and using it as a front like white people do. All right, take a look at this story here out of the Associated Press, entitled "Ex-Facebook Exec Claims Flight Harassment." Randy Zuckerberg, the sister of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, wrote a letter to Alaska Airlines executives to complain about the experience she had recently on a flight from LA to Mazatlan, Mexico. She said a man sitting near her made extremely uncomfortable, sexually explicit, lewd comments to her and others in the first class section of the plane while being served multiple alcoholic drinks. Reporters ended up catching up with the man, who actually was very apologetic, saying, I didn't think it was a problem because I was just telling her, I was telling her that I was poking her. Like the poking feature that her brother, Mark Zuckerberg, created on Facebook. We've all used it, and it's where you can send people a poke on Facebook, and if they like you, they poke you back. Well, apparently she didn't like me. I admit I had a few drinks, he said, so maybe I was being a little too specific about where I wanted to poke her, and I guess she didn't like that. So the man said he would send her a friend request with an apology, a sincere apology, and he promised to just poke her on Facebook from now on. All right. Take a look at this story here by Christopher Catalogo of the Sacramento Bee. Brown cites dissent from Trump claim on climate. Says here, California Governor Jerry Brown recently told Chinese officials that Donald Trump's dismissal of climate change as a hoax invented by China. Remember when Donald Trump said that a while back? He said that his dismissal of climate change as a hoax invented by China was probably the most absurd thing that has ever been said on the topic. And he called on China to take the lead temporarily while the U.S. is on holiday. I'm going to do my best Governor Brown impersonation for you here. See, what you have to understand is that our country's special needs party just insisted on setting a historic milestone in 2016 by electing our nation's first special needs president. So we're going to need China to lead right now because our government is on holiday. One Chinese official said, "Oh, you mean Christmas holiday?" And Governor Brown said, "No, actually it's more like if you recall the Seinfeld episode where George's father celebrates his alternative to Christmas called Festivus. Except Trump's even more special needs version of Festivus is actually called "Fuck the Rest of Us." I love Governor Brown, I really do. All right, take a look at this story here. Amazing story by Robert Burns and Richard Lardner of the Associated Press, entitled "Retired General Says Nuke Order Can Be Refused." This is amazing. I can't remember when we've ever heard a general so undermine a president and basically call him, an idiot. Retired Air Force General Robert Keller testified to the U.S. Senate that an order from President Donald Trump to launch nuclear weapons can be refused by the top officer at Strategic Air Command. He said the U.S. Armed Forces are obligated to follow legal orders, not illegal ones. And like most Americans, he said, Strategic Command understands we're talking about a 12-year-old girl in the body of a 70-year-old man with a desire to tweet us the nuclear launch code. With designated secret hashtags that we're supposed to remember, like hashtag #RocketMan bites the dust, or there was another one, hashtag Bob Mueller up in smoke, and another one, hashtag Wolf Blitzer glows in the dark. But seriously, I actually remember the moment that this general came out and said this on his own accord, because all of a sudden it got unusually windy outside. I don't know if you guys noticed if you were watching the news that day, but it got really windy outside due to a huge national exhale, of relief across the nation as even thousands of die-hard atheists, enthusiastically converted, saying, "Thank you, God, there is a God!" All right. I gotta hurry here. Take a look at this in wrapping up, last but not least. This story by Cheryl Gay Stolberg, Yamiche Alcindor, and Nicholas Fondos of the New York Times. Franken resigning, Senator Al Franken they're talking about, resigning from Senate amid harassment allegations. Okay, the absurdity of this is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. And the double standard is just inconceivable. Al Franken did not need to resign, ladies, especially, okay? I know we're concerned about this issue across the country, but, and I also understand fellow Democratic colleagues in the Senate wanting to make sure that Democratic Party's not being hypocritical and all, but there's a huge difference in what Al Franken was accused of compared to the accused pedophile behavior of Roy Moore and the self-admitted sexual assaulting of women by Donald Trump. A day before Al Franken announced his intention to resign in weeks to come, the day before he announced that intention, I actually called Senator Al Franken's office. I'm not making this by, I seriously called his office. And of course, when you call a senator, you have to expect to get just the voicemail, which is what I got. And I had to leave a message, but I left a message saying, I'm hoping it got to him, that I hoped he would take the position that he would resign only if and as soon as Trump resigns. Well, he must have heard from a lot of folks who said something similar on his office voicemail to what I did, because in his speech the next day, as you will recall, Al Franken did call Trump out on that very point in that speech where he was saying he was going to resign in weeks to come. And I'm reading his quote right here from the story. I'm going to read it to you. Al Franken said, "I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party." End quote. Folks, we're talking about SNL sweetheart, self-help expert, Stuart Smalley of all things. Ladies, come on, how sexually offended and harassed can we ever be by sweet Stuart Smalley? He's good enough, he's smart enough, and doggone it, people like him. I mean, they really do. People like him. So, on resigning, Al, I want to remind you of a few more of your own catchphrases as Stuart Smalley. when it comes to your decision to resign, that's just stinking thinking, Al. You are shoulding all over yourself. Shoulding. You know, you're shoulding all over yourself. You are a worthy human being. Trace it, face it, and erase it. And last but not least, happens to every guy. Sometimes this does. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Yoda from Star Wars, but I had to toss that in. You get the point. Happens to every guy. This does. Well, maybe not every guy, but... And last but not least, I said that was going to be it, but I want to share a quick editorial that I wrote on this topic, so I'm going to stick to the script. If you don't mind, I'm going to read it to you. Check out all my editorials, if you would, on my website, on my blog. We have I think, just enough time for me to do this. To the Trump gaslit evangelical hypocrites on the right, talking out of their asses, claiming this Trump-Russian collusion investigation is nothing but a fake news witch hunt. What do you have to say now that 4 witches have not only been found and charged with major crimes, but 2 of said witches, including senior Trump administration official General Michael Flynn, are now cooperating with Special Prosecutor Bob Mueller to keep from doing major jail time? Are you going to keep lying out of your asses to defend the witch in chief? In the name of Jesus, of all things? Are you going to keep lying out of your asses to defend the accusations against Trump supporting Roy Moore, running for Senate in Alabama, accused by multiple women of preying on and sexually assaulting young teenage girls who Trump has endorsed? Are you going to keep lying out of your asses as you flat out ignore Trump's own words on the Access Hollywood tape, bragging about grabbing women by the pussy, saying he could do so because he's so big of a star that he can get away with doing anything he wants to attractive women that he meets? If we're going to care about the smaller number of women who have come forward to accuse Senator Al Franken and Representative Conyers and Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer, then of course we'd have to care about the 12 or more women, 12 or more, who bravely came forward to accuse the sitting president of the freaking United States. You know, and then what do you hear from them? What these Trump supporters? Well, that's just a fake news witch hunt, you know, and you can't say that without, you guys have to understand, you can't say that without sounding like you rode the little bus to school as a kid. Because after all, as I said already, we've got more damning evidence in the witch in chief's case with his own proud witch admission of such behavior on tape than we do in all these other cases combined. Trump made that graphic specific admission with impunity of his own volition. It wasn't like Wolf Blitzer from CNN had bound him like, you know, back in the 1600s in Salem on their witch hunts. It wasn't like he had bound him and was dipping him in and out of the fountain on the White House Mall until he couldn't take it anymore and told us he was a frickin' sexually assaulting, womanizing witch. But isn't that a beautiful thing to fantasize about coming true? You know, can you imagine the viewer ratings for that, for such a CNN episode? Wolf Blitzer dunking him in the fountain and all. But shame on those of you who claim to be Christians and Catholics while turning a blind eye to this national disgrace you have created in the name of Jesus. Dear God, save us from your followers, as the apt bumper sticker says. Ignoring Trump's admission on tape of sexually assaulting women with impunity and parroting his claim that such bragging of specific behavior was just harmless locker room talk is akin to if the Pope, imagine this, it's akin to if the Pope himself had been caught on such an Access Hollywood tape saying something similar. Here's a hypothetical for you. The Pope talking to Billy Bush with Access Hollywood. I used to have such a crush on Justin Bieber before he grew up. He was so hot. Now this, of course, would take much longer, be much longer of a tape because the Pope talks really slow, and I can't do that in the interest of time here, but it would be a really long tape because it would take him 2 minutes to say that and another 5 minutes to say the following. You know, I'm so famous as the Pope. When I meet hot Catholic boys, I can do whatever I want. Now, I understand how funny it is that I'm using probably the same impersonation I did for the governor. I'm sorry. I can't quite distinguish between the two. But the Pope says, I'm so famous as the Pope, when I meet hot Catholic boys, I can do whatever I want. I can grab them by their genitals, anything I want. They'll let me because I'm such a rock star as the Pope. Can you imagine, hypothetically, that happened? The tape goes viral. Just imagine this. Just like Trump's tape did. And then the Pope tries to excuse it away. Oh, that was just harmless choir room talk. Everyone knows priests talk like that in the choir room, but it was harmless. I mean, ignoring Trump's own words that weren't hypothetical, but that really happened on tape, ignoring them, while holding all these others to the witch flame, like Louis C.K., Franken, Conyers, Charlie Rose, is exactly akin to if the Pope had been caught saying what I was just hypothetically giving you about his affinity for maybe underage boys, and the Catholic Church responds by accepting his gaslit baloney that it was just choir room banter. But I guess the idea of the Catholic Church looking the other way is ironically not so far-fetched, is it? Not when you recall what we've all witnessed over the recent last couple of decades as the Catholic Church has actively tried to hide the mind-blowing ongoing priest-pedophile epidemic still unfolding and still being protected from the top. So you still want to run around calling these things a witch hunt, you Trump supporters? Okay, but as such, you go on record in your life looking like a gigantic hypocrite and looking utterly complicit yourself, because we clearly have witches to hunt among us, self-admitted ones, who's sitting in the Oval Office. And as the rest of us continue to bring them down with the help of Special Prosecutor Mueller, in the name of morality and justice, the question you should be asking yourself is, what is that going to say about you and your defense of Trump and people like Roy Moore's behavior in the name of Jesus?
You know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really getting concerned, as you can't tell already, about the state of our country today. And we need to be, we really do, because we're no longer the United States of America. You guys know that, right? We are not any longer the United States of America. We're now the you gotta be fucking kidding me States of America. With this batshit crazy new Trump reality show. Have you guys heard the news? He's got a new Trump reality show coming out in the fall on the Fox network. Yeah, it's called Ku Klux Klan has